Hello and welcome to Claret podcast with me, Mat Kendrick, and our friend Colin Abbott. Colin, when me and you get together, it's normally like those two old fellas in the Muppets who sit in the galleries. But instead of looking back in the past, we're going to break forward with tradition and look forward. And thanks to Unai Emery and his class of, well, we're going into 2024-25 now, aren't we? And his latest class of heroes, we're able to look forward with some real excitement and a real sense of anticipation. Champions League, got a nice sound to it, hasn't it now?
Unbelievable.
What you thinking?
I can't wait. It's been a long time coming. I was lucky enough to be there in 82.
Don't go in the past, we're going that many joking.
No, I was lucky enough to be there in 82. Part of me, we've had so many false dawns at Aston Villa, you think, is it ever going to happen? And we've had managers coming and going, we've had owners coming and going, and yet now it really does feel like we're on the brink of something special. We've got two owners in there that are putting money in. Everything just seems positive off the pitch. We've got a manager now that the owners absolutely, totally believe in. I think we're capable of absolutely anything now under this Unai Emery. As long as we can keep him, I think this man he's got pedigree stamped all over him.
Do you have to kind of pinch yourself sometimes? Because like you said, between us, probably do no good for either of our self-esteem by keep banging on us about being old men. But we've got the battle scars, haven't we? In terms of, like you say, the false dawns. Villa are so good at threatening and teasing you in, thinking you're on the brink of something, and then pulling the rug.
We've had years and years of it, underachieving, really, haven't we? You know, and then the last years we've been staving off relegation more than anything. Never mind being a mid-table side or fighting for something, but now we're on the cusp of something special. We're guaranteed 4 beautiful games at Villa Park, and equally the Villa fans have got the chance to get to Real Madrid or Barcelona or Bayern Munich. Big teams.
Are you going to hopefully be on your travels as much as you can?
I would love to be there, but just remains to be seen.
What do you put it down? Listen, we know we've got a genius in the dugout, but that's one thing, kind of arriving with that CV, if you like. It's another thing being able to bring about a turnaround as quickly as this fella is. You know, keep banging on. It's taken us 41 years to get back to the top table of European competition. It's taken this fella 18 months to get us there.
When a manager wins trophies at different clubs, you sit up and take notice. His very first team, Lorca Deportivo, he had those promoted. He then took Almira. It was the first time they'd ever got to the top flight in their entire history. He had a very short spell in Russia. Didn't work out there. He came back to his homeland and he won 3 Europa leagues. That then took him to Paris Saint-Germain. So to win stuff in different clubs in Spain is one thing. Yeah. When you get a different manager and he's winning in different countries, he didn't win anything at Sportac, but he was only there a short time. But in his time at Paris Saint-Germain, he won the title. He won the equivalent of the FA Cup twice. He won the equivalent of their League Cup twice. He then came to Arsenal, and I don't think he was given the time. Anybody that comes to Arsenal after Arsene Wenger's been there something like 17 years, he's on a bit of a hiding to nothing. Yeah. And the Arsenal fans aren't known for their patience. But their loss is really our gain. And the fact that this man's got credentials in different countries, he's got a winning pedigree. He knows what he's doing. He guided us to the conference semi-finals. I thought we'd go all the way and win that.
I think the thing with Emery is obviously you talk about his successes and the fact that he's been able to replicate that across different clubs and across different countries. I think even the setbacks, like I think you'd have seen Arsenal as a little bit of a slight on him, that people saying he couldn't do it in the Premier League, and I know he was mocked a little bit for his grasp of English, which incidentally he's excellent now.
Doesn't bother me.
But I think that, and I think the setback against Olympiacos, I think he takes all of these things and he clocks them, and he must have
he analyses everything,
compartments of his brain that thinks, well, okay, that's an experience. So I know, without saying to being too cliched of it turning into the Jake Humphries kind of management podcast or whatever. I think even those setbacks, he thinks, well, I can turn that into a force for good. So I would have thought that it's probably made us even steelier, if you like.
It'll make
for
us stronger.
Yeah.
It will. Look, against Lille, we could have quite easily gone out against Lille, and we turned that round. How Olympiacos scored 4 at Villa Park, I still don't know. I still don't know to this day. The second leg over in Greece, we absolutely battered them, and yet they ran out 2-0 winners.
Yeah.
You don't always get what you deserve on a pitch. The Villarreal side that he left to come here, the Villa played them not long ago. It was in December. It was a cold night, and I remember going and watching that with real interest, because that was the team he'd left. That was the team he built, and I was curious as to see how that team operated. And I remember saying to a lad next to me at Villa Park, I said, I hope we don't wallop these. And he said, why? I said, because this team is a team that Unai Emery's built.
Look a glimpse into the future, if you like.
Yeah, and I've never been one for this playing from the back. Pep Guardiola, I think, started that. But he's got the players that can carry it off. He's got a goalkeeper that could probably play in most sides, outfield.
Yeah.
To have a team playing from the back like that, you really have to have a composure about you, and they have to be so good on the ball.
I think me and you have been stung by watching Brad Guzan and Alan Hutton try to do it after Paul Lambert went to watch Pep's Bayern Munich or Pep's Barcelona train. I think you're right. It's great having that mentality. It's having the personnel, but I think the thing that Emery's done as well is he insists on it. We've seen some kind of cup games where he's put a shadow team out there, and we were asking Robin Olsen and that Augustinson who we had on loan to do it. And that's a bit of a test to the old blood pressure.
Of course it is.
But I think, and I've said this before on the podcast several times, one of Emery's greatest successes so far in his short spell so far at Villa is not only the impact that he's had in improving every player. I think pretty much every player that he's worked with at Villa has improved within the collective game plan, the collective tactical approach. It's training us lot. It's training us lot in the Trinity, in the whole end, in the North Stand, in the Whitton, to just trust him. There's going to be times when we'll have setbacks, we'll concede a goal because of it, but more often than not, playing the Emery way is going to get us on the pitch. It's going to create chances. It's going to get us to score goals.
He brought one player in. I'm not going to name names. He brought one player in, and I was a bit underwhelmed by him. And it's only because it was Emery that brought him in. Everything that man does, it's like he's got the Midas touch. And this player that he brought in is phenomenal. I didn't see it at the start, but I thought, he's brought him in. He's no fool. This player is going to turn out great. Everybody that Emery brings in, I don't think he's going to bring any duds in at all. The man's just a genius. And I think under him, I'm not saying we're going to win the league one year and the European Cup the following year, but I think under Unai Emery, we have the best chance to emulate what we did in the early 80s as we have since. I just have that feeling. If we can keep the owners and we can keep the manager we've got, we can go on to do what Man United did or what Liverpool did. Why can't we?
How optimistic are you for what we can achieve in this coming season?
Absolutely. I'm not really bothered if we end up mid-table. If we can have a real good run in the Champions League, I personally don't think that there's a stronger side in this Champions League this year as how big Bayern Munich were in 1982, and we beat them against all the odds. There's no reason on earth why we can't go all the way, and anything can happen in a final. We've seen it. You ask Liverpool fans when they played Wimbledon in 1988, nobody gave Wimbledon a chance. We could play Real Madrid in the final. I wouldn't bet against us.
You genuinely believe we've got a chance of...
I absolutely do. I absolutely do. Getting there has taken a lot of years. Now we're there, there's nothing to stop us doing it. And the man that's guided us there, he knows Europe like the back of his hand. He's won so many trophies in Europe, it's unbelievable.
do you think that even so? I know you used the kind of like the Wimbledon Liverpool example, and listen, I think I can't remember what did John Motson call it? Crazy Gang versus the Culture Club, I think, didn't he, on his commentary when Wimbledon pulled that off? And that is a good comparison in terms of the haves and the have-nots. When we're talking haves and have-nots across Europe now, Colin, we're talking about people or clubs who have been able for the last 15, 20 years to kind of build their dynasties with, you know, probably reserve team squads and third squads that would probably dwarf the budget of Johnny-come-latelys like us into the competition.
But Bayern, you know, they won the European Cup 3 years running in the 70s. No one gave us a dog's chance in 82, and we did it. And I don't think there's a bigger team now as what Bayern were back in that time. I might be wrong.
So what would be
Manchester City? You know, if we were sat here now together talking about solely Manchester City, we'd all say they're probably the favourites to do it. We played Manchester City off the park last season. Never before has a Pep Guardiola Manchester City side faced so many shots. Never before had his Manchester City side only managed 2 shots on target. We did that.
No, I think it's interesting. I think it's quite refreshing as well. And I think, you know, non-Villa fans who happen upon this probably, you know, accuse us of kind of getting too big for our boots and deluding grandeur. But I actually like the approach that you tackle it with. Okay, well, we got here. We deserve to be here.
Yeah.
You know, why do we need to go in as kind of? Why do we need to apologise for being here? Why do we need to go in as underdogs? No. Why don't we just go in with our heads high and think, let's attack this. Let's see what we can do.
Well, like I say, we absolutely battered Manchester City. Arsenal were a good side last season, weren't they? How many teams did the double over them? I know we did. I can't think of anyone else offhand. That just shows what Aston Villa can do on any given day. And these are the games. They're any given day. So let's just see what happens.
So what would success or otherwise look like for you in the Champions League? Probably, well, winning the bloody thing now. We'd be disappointed if we lose 4-3 in the final to Real Madrid. Now you've got us whipped up. But what would success look like in the Champions League, in the Premier League? I mean, let's be greedy. Let's throw the FA Cup and the League Cup in there for old time's sake as well. So let's say we're meeting up next summer, Colin. What would you? Obviously, we'd like to win the whole bloody lot.
Yeah.
But even, you know,
the FA Cup would be nice because that's what every Villa fan wants. We've never done it since Peter McParland. He was 23 when we won that. He's 90 now. That speaks volumes. I'm not bothered about at this moment in time. I'm not bothered about the domestic part of it. I just want us to have as far a run in the Champions League as possible. I want Aston Villa to be back on that map.
Yeah.
I don't want us to be in the 4th pot because all these other teams are better than us and they've got accumulated more points and stature in Europe. I want us to be where Manchester City are because in my eyes, we're no different.
Given the fact that we've spoken, we talk about a lot of what's gone on in the past. We talk about the battle scars and the setbacks and the near misses and the false dawns and all the other cliches. Yep. It just kind of overwhelms me. Really, it just really gives me a smile on my face that you can come out so bold in terms of thinking that we're there. Let's go and have fun. Let's go and win the bloody thing. I mean,
Gary Thompson said at the weekend to us. He was saying, all football clubs, they can't be dominant forever. They have their good times, they have their bad times. These are good times. Let's embrace them and let's go as far as we can.
So you've been listening to a very positive Claret and Blue podcast with Mat Kendrick and Colin Abbott. It's got me even more excited now about that Champions League anthem coming soon to a stadium very, very near to you indeed. So until next time, up the Villa.